All right, so today we're going to be looking at this idea of like personal power,
Okay.
and how our thoughts can shape our lives, both the, positive and negative ones.
Right.
And we're doing a deep dive today into a transcript of
Yeah.
a called Outwitting the Devil, Napoleon Hill.
This is a good one.
Yeah, the audiobook that will open your eyes.
Yeah. And the reason why I think you'll find this so interesting is because it's an interview with like someone claiming to be the devil.
Yeah, it's kind of like a confession almost.
Yeah.
It's not really about
Yeah.
fire and brimstone and all that. It's more like
Right.
how he kind of messes with us.
His tactics. Yeah.
Yeah, his tactics.
Yeah.
And so one of the first things he reveals is that his greatest weapon is fear.
Fear. Okay.
And specifically, he calls out the fear of poverty and the fear of death.
Interesting.
And he says that he uses these fears to discourage people from like thinking for themselves.
Right. And you could see how that would be effective. If you're completely consumed by fear, then you're not going to really question anything.
Right.
You're just going to go along with whatever's happening around you.
Right. And then he talks about his most effective trick, which he calls drifting.
Drifting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's basically this idea of just kind of living life on autopilot, not really having a purpose, letting circumstances dictate your path, accepting whatever comes your way without really putting up much of a fight.
I think a lot of people listening could probably relate to that.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely have moments where I feel like I'm just kind of drifting along.
Yeah.
So he's saying that drifters have tons of opinions.
Okay.
But that they're not really their own. They're just, absorbing whatever's swirling around them.
Okay.
And then he says something really provocative.
What was that?
He says that churches and schools are actually his biggest allies.
Churches and schools. Wow. Okay, that is a statement.
Yeah, he's basically arguing that those institutions, unintentionally, of course, encourage people to, just accept prepackaged thoughts.
Right.
Instead of developing their own.
Yeah, instead of forming their own opinions based on, their own experiences and reasoning.
Right. And so it just makes you wonder, how much of that is actually true? Are we sometimes so focused on learning what others think that we forget to think critically for yourselves?
It's a really interesting question to consider. How much are we influenced by the thoughts and opinions of others without even realizing it?
Right.
And that's what he's saying. That's what makes people vulnerable to his influence because they're not used to thinking for themselves.
Right. And then he introduces this concept of hypnotic rhythm.
Okay, hypnotic rhythm. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, it sounded kind of out there to me at first, but when you think about it, it actually makes a lot of sense.
So what is hypnotic rhythm exactly?
Okay, so think of it like this.
All right.
Our thoughts and habits are like carving grooves into our minds.
Okay, I can visualize that.
So the more you repeat a thought or action, the deeper that groove becomes.
So it becomes like a pattern.
Yeah, and eventually it's like you're stuck in that groove.
Wow.
You can't break free.
And he's saying that this is how negative thought patterns can solidify, leading to things like poverty, illness, or failure.
Right, because if you're constantly thinking negative thoughts, then you're going to create a negative reality for yourself.
Right, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, but here's the twist.
Okay, there's a twist.
He admits that this hypnotic rhythm can work for us, not just against us.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not all bad news.
No, it's not all bad news.
So how can we use this hypnotic rhythm to our advantage?
Well, if we can consciously choose positive, empowering thoughts and repeat them, we can essentially rewire our brains.
Okay, so it's about breaking free from those negative grooves and creating new positive ones.
Exactly. And that brings us to the heart of the matter, the devil's advice on how to escape his grasp.
So he's actually getting us advice on how to beat him at his own game.
It seems like he's almost annoyed to be sharing this stuff, like he's giving away his playbook.
I bet he is.
Yeah, and the first principle he talks about is definiteness of purpose.
Definiteness of purpose, okay.
He practically growls as he explains that having a clear goal and a plan to achieve it throws a wrench into his whole operation.
So it's like having a definite purpose makes you less susceptible to his influence.
Right, because when you know what you want and you focused on achieving it, you're less likely to be swayed by distractions or fall into that drifting trap that he loves so much.
Right, it's like you're building a shield against negativity and doubt.
Exactly.
So it's not just about having a goal, but it's also about having that laser focus, that unwavering commitment to achieving it.
Yeah.
That's what really sets you apart from the drifters.
And then he talks about self-discipline.
Okay, self-discipline, that's a big one.
Yeah, and he describes it as mastering our appetites.
Our appetites.
Yeah, not just for food, but also for things like sex and even opinions.
Oh, wow. So it's about controlling what we consume in every sense of the word.
Right. It's like he's saying, don't let your impulses run the show. Make conscious choices about what you let into your mind and your life.
That's really powerful.
Yeah, it makes you realize that self-discipline isn't about deprivation. It's about empowerment.
Right. It's about taking control of your desires instead of letting them control you.
Exactly.
And that's something that the devil really hates because it takes away his power.
He then begrudgingly admits that learning from adversity is crucial for breaking free from his influence.
Learning from adversity. So he's saying that we should embrace our failures.
He basically confesses that failure, as much as he tries to use it against us, can actually be a powerful tool for growth.
I think he's acknowledging that those setbacks, those moments of failure, force us to reevaluate our path, to learn from our mistakes, and ultimately to become stronger and more resilient.
Yeah, and he hates that.
I bet.
Because he wants us to stay trapped in our failures, to let them define us.
Right.
But he inadvertently reveals this key insight that we can use failure as a springboard to develop new positive thought patterns.
So instead of letting it define us, we can use it to refine us.
Exactly.
That's a much better way to look at it.
Yeah, and it's all about shifting our perspective.
Right. Because ultimately we have the power to choose how we respond to adversity.
Yeah, and that's a really empowering thought.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It's like he's giving us the keys to his own undoing.
I know, it's crazy.
But he doesn't want us to know that.
Of course not.
He wants us to stay trapped in his game.
Right.
But we're smarter than that.
Yeah, we are, and we can use this knowledge to break free.
Exactly, and that's what this whole deep dive is all about.
Empowering ourselves with knowledge and understanding so that we can create the lives we truly desire.
And I think the devil would be pretty upset about that.
Oh, I'm sure he would.
But that's okay. We're not here to please the devil.
We're here to please ourselves.
Exactly.
To live our best lives.
And I think that's a message that the devil would hate to hear.
Well, that's just too bad for him.
Yeah.
He can't stop us.
No, he can't.
We're on to him.
We are.
We know his tricks.
And we're not falling for them anymore.
Exact.
So let's go out there and outwit the devil.
Let's do it.
And create the lives we truly desire.
I'm with you on that one.
Awesome.
So what do you think about this definiteness of purpose thing?
Well, I think it's absolutely crucial, because without a clear sense of purpose, it's easy to get lost.
Right.
To wander aimlessly through life.
And to fall prey to the devil's tricks.
Exactly. And I think that's what he's afraid of.
That we'll figure out what we really want and go after it with everything we've got.
And when we do that, he loses his power over us.
Right.
Because we're no longer playing his game.
We're playing our own game.
Exactly. And that's a game that we can win.
I like the sound of that.
Me too.
So how can we develop this definiteness of purpose?
Well, I think it starts with asking ourselves some tough questions.
What
do we really want out of life?
What are our passions?
What are our values?
What do we want to contribute to the world?
Those are all great questions to start with.
Yeah, and once we have a better understanding of ourselves and our desires, then we can start setting goals and creating a plan to achieve them.
Right, and it's important to remember that our purpose can evolve over time. It's not set in stone.
Right.
So it's okay to adjust our course as we learn and grow.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The important thing is to have something to aim for.
To have that North Star that guides our decisions and actions.
Exactly.
And when we have that sense of purpose, we're unstoppable.
I agree.
We become the masters of our own destinies.
And that's what the devil fears the most.
I can see why he would be scared.
Yeah, because it means that we're no longer under his control.
We're free.
We are free.
Free to create the lives we want.
And that's a beautiful thing.
It really is.
So let's not let the devil win.
No way.
Let's embrace our purpose.
Let's go after our dreams.
And let's create a world where everyone is free to shine their light.
Yes, to all of that.
Awesome.
I'm feeling inspired already.
Me too.
So what's next on our list?
Well, we've talked about definiteness of purpose.
Right.
Now let's dive into self-discipline.
Okay, let's do it.
And see what we can master our appetites and take control of our lives.
I'm ready.
Great.
Let's do this.
All right. Yeah, it's like he's accidentally giving us the secrets to beating him.
Yeah.
But he doesn't want us to know, of course.
Right.
Yeah. And so this next principle he talks about is accurate thinking.
Okay.
And this one really gets under his skin.
Accurate thinking.
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
So he says he absolutely despises people who think for themselves.
Okay.
People who analyze situations and use logic and reason.
Got it.
To reach their own conclusions.
So it disrupts his whole strategy.
Right, exactly.
When people actually think for themselves.
Yeah, because he can't manipulate people.
Right.
As easily when they're actively engaging their minds.
Right.
And questioning his whispers of fear and doubt.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And he even complains that accurate thinking makes his job so much harder.
Oh, really?
That's he's admitting that knowledge and critical thinking are his kryptonite.
Yeah, he even says accurate thought is the business of my opposition, not mine.
Wow, so he's basically acknowledging that truth and clarity are fundamentally opposed to his entire operation.
Right, he can't stand it.
No, he can't.
Yeah, and this leads us to another principle that he seems really grumpy about, which is applied faith.
Okay, applied faith.
Now, when he talks about faith,
Yeah.
he's not talking about like blind belief or dogma.
Okay.
He's describing something much more practical and empowering.
So how does he define faith?
Well, he defines it as a state of mind wherein one recognizes and uses the power of positive thought as a medium by which one contacts and draws upon the universal store of infinite intelligence at will.
Okay. That's a lot to unpack.
I know it sounds a bit complex,
Yeah.
but basically he's saying that faith is about aligning your thoughts with your desires and trusting in your ability to achieve them.
So it's about believing in yourself.
Yeah, and in the power of your mind to create the reality you want.
So it's not about passively hoping or wishing
No, it's about actively taking action and expecting results.
and having that unshakable confidence.
Yeah, that you can overcome obstacles and achieve your goals.
That's powerful stuff.
Yeah, it is.
And the devil hates this kind of faith
Why is that?
because it empowers people.
Mm-hmm.
It gives them the courage to take risks, to pursue their dreams,
Okay.
and to resist his whispers of doubt and fear.
It's like he's saying that he's powerless against people who have this kind of unwavering faith.
Right, because they're no longer playing his game.
They've stepped out of his realm of fear and uncertainty
Yeah,
and into a realm of possibility and power.
exactly.
Speaking of power, that brings us to another principle that he reveals, which is cosmic habit force.
Okay, cosmic habit force. That sounds kind of mysterious.
It is a bit more esoteric, but it's also really fascinating.
So what is cosmic habit force?
Okay, so imagine the universe operates on certain principles.
Like gravity?
Yeah, like gravity or the laws of motion.
Uh-huh.
He's suggesting that there's a similar principle that governs the formation of habits.
So it's like a universal law of habits.
Yeah, it's the idea that repetition creates momentum,
Okay.
and that momentum can either work for you or against you.
Depending on the nature of your habits.
Exactly.
So if you have good habits, then this cosmic habit force will help you succeed.
Right.
But if you have bad habits, then it will work against you.
Yeah, it's like our habits are these tiny little seeds,
Yeah.
and every time we repeat them, we're watering those seeds, helping them grow into these giant, powerful forces that shape our lives.
I like that analogy.
Thanks.
So the devil understands the power of this law.
Yeah, and he uses it to trap people in negative cycles.
Right. He wants us to get stuck in habits of thought and behavior that keep us in a state of fear, doubt, and limitation.
Exactly. But just as he uses cosmic habit force for his own purposes,
Yeah.
he can also harness this law for good.
Absolutely.
We can consciously choose to develop positive habits.
Habits that support our growth, our well-being, and our success.
Exactly. And the more we repeat those positive habits,
Uh-huh.
the more deeply they become ingrained in our minds and in our lives.
Creating a powerful upward spiral of growth and transformation.
I love that.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
As we go through these principles, I'm struck by how practical and applicable they are.
Yeah, they're not just abstract philosophy.
Right.
It's about taking concrete steps to cultivate self-mastery
Mm-hmm.
and to create the life we want.
It's like he's giving us the cheat codes to the game of life.
Yeah, even though he really doesn't want to win.
Right.
Yeah. And this brings us to creative vision,
Creative vision.
a principle that seems to make the devil particularly uncomfortable.
What is it about creative vision that he hates so much?
Well, you can almost hear him squirming when he talks about it.
Yeah.
He knows that imagination and creativity are the antidotes to his realm of fear and limitation.
He even says that creative vision is the one power that can project one's mind into the future and create a definite plan for attaining the object of one's desires.
Wow, so he's admitting that imagination is the key to unlocking a whole new world of possibilities.
It's about stepping outside the confines of your current reality and envisioning the future you want to create.
Yeah, it's about using your mind to paint a picture of your dreams
Uh-huh.
and then taking action to bring those dreams to life.
He hates this because it empowers people to break free from the limitations he tries to impose on them.
Right, he wants us to believe we're stuck, that we can't change.
Mm-hmm.
But creative vision allows us to see beyond those limitations.
And to imagine a better future for ourselves.
It's about tapping into that power within you to create something new, something that doesn't yet exist,
Yeah.
something that you can be proud of.
As we explore these principles, I'm realizing that they're not just about personal success.
Mhm.
They're also about cultivating a sense of agency and responsibility in our lives.
Right, it's about recognizing that we have the power to shape our own destiny
To create the reality we want.
and to contribute to a better world.
And that brings us to the final principle that the devil reveals,
Okay, what's that?
which is organized planning.
Organist planning.
This is where he lays out the importance of taking your creative vision
Yeah.
and turning it into a concrete plan of action.
So it's about bridging the gap between imagination and reality.
Exactly. He actually says that organized planning is the crystallization of desire into action.
Oh, wow. That's a good way to put it.
It's about taking those dreams, those visions, and transforming them into tangible steps that you can take each day to move closer to your goals.
So it's about moving beyond wishful thinking.
Right.
And into a realm of deliberate action.
Exactly. It's about setting clear goals, developing a strategy, and then taking consistent, focused action to bring that plan to fruition.
And the devil despises this.
Of course he does.
Because it takes away his power.
He wants us to be scattered, indecisive, stuck in a cycle of procrastination and doubt.
Right. But when we have a clear plan, when we're moving forward with purpose and determination, he can't touch us.
It's like we've built an impenetrable fortress around our minds.
A fortress that he can't breach.
And the more organized we are, the stronger that fortress becomes. Wow, so those are the 7 principles of self-mastery.
As revealed by the devil himself.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey.
It really has.
Unpacking all this stuff.
Yeah, and I think what's so interesting is that, despite the fact that he's the devil, he's actually offering some really valuable insights.
Yeah, like he's unintentionally giving us the keys to, escaping his grasp and reclaiming our power.
Right. It's like he's saying, here's how to beat me at my own game.
And I think one of the most compelling takeaways is this idea of duality.
Right. This interplay between, the positive and negative forces that we've been talking about.
It's like he's revealing that he's only one side of the coin.
Exactly.
There's always that, opposing force, that force for good that we can choose to tap into.
Yeah, and I think that's a really empowering thought.
So if we consider the devil as representing that negative force within us, like the voice of fear, doubt, and limitation, what would it look like to consciously cultivate our own inner angel?
I love that question.
It makes you think about how we can actively choose to align ourselves with positivity, with purpose, with that unwavering faith in our ability to create a better life.
Yeah, and I think the 7 principles provide a roadmap for doing just that.
Right. They offer a framework for harnessing that positive energy, for quieting the voice of the devil, and amplifying the voice of our inner angel.
It's about recognizing that we have the power to choose which force we want to empower.
Right.
Which voice we want to listen to.
And that choice ultimately shapes our reality.
It determines whether we're driven by fear or by faith.
Right.
Whether we're limited by circumstance or empowered to create change.
So, as we wrap up our deep dive into Outwitting the Devil, I want to leave you with this final thought.
Okay.
Imagine what your life would look like if you fully embraced these 7 principles.
What if you committed to definiteness of purpose, self-discipline, accurate thinking?
Applied faith, cosmic habit, force, creative vision, and organized planning.
What kind of world could we create?
If we all chose to cultivate our inner angels.
And use these principles as a guide for building a more fulfilling and meaningful reality.
It's a question worth pondering.
It really is.
And remember, this deep dive is just the beginning.
The real work begins when you take these ideas
and start applying them to your own life.
So go out there and outwit those devils within you.
Embrace the power of your mind, cultivate your inner angel.
And create a life that is truly extraordinary.
Until next time.